been a while, my friend.
It's been a very long while. Seems like a lot's happened, and at the same time, not a lot's happened either.
Man, but like the last year, what didn't happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you really think about it, I think one of my advantages is I kind of keep a pretty small bubble and I don't really go out of it. I don't have television like per se, like I don't have like cable and I don't watch, the news. So I think I kind of lead a little bit of a sheltered life, which I think is great because
it's good for your mental health.
It's always big news to me. It's like, oh, really? There's a war in the Ukraine. Like, I mean, not that I wasn't privy to some of that information, but at the same time, I really hadn't heard much of it or why it was happening. So when people tell me, it's like, oh, wow, that's big news. That is huge news.
Yeah, the Ukraine thing. It's honestly probably better that you don't look at the news. Like it's hard because some people will argue the fact that like you don't know what's going on in the world. Like, how do you not? But it's like I'm not going to change what's going on in the world, and it's so depressing sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? After 2 years, I think the narrative was they were looking for something new to talk about, and I mean, everybody, they secretly they hate war, but at the same time, they love talking about it. And I think we just kind of scooped everything else under the rug, and it's kind of sad that we can just kind of drop the COVID narrative. I think it had its time, but now it's gone, and it's like it never happened, to be totally honest. And and for 2 years, I think I'm not really going to say much about like the economy or all those other things. I just think people suffered, whether it be quietly or loudly. Like I can think of many people's relationships that dissolved, or there's family crisis, or people just were struggling with mental health and doing the things that they wanted to do to keep themselves sane, you couldn't have access to. And it was kind of sad to see that so many people fell through the cracks, whether it be through just being able to see a doctor regularly or going into a hospital to get aid or whatever the case might have been. A lot of people just didn't have a lot of happiness either.
I think that it's extremely arguable to talk about what was worse, either the sickness and effect that COVID had on people if you actually got the disease, or the effect that the whole shutdown and all these different laws and stuff that kept you from seeing your family and your loved ones, and people that died without their wife or kids in the room because they couldn't be. And it's really like that. Like, I feel like there's an argument for both sides on what was worse for us, like being stuck inside, not being able to do anything. It's hard. Like, I'm happy to see the sun out. I'm happy that the masks thing is kind of dissolving. It's kind of like now at your own choice. It's definitely not talked about a fraction of what it used to be. But yeah, we were sitting in a different time the last time me and you spoke.
I mean, obviously, we were at the, like I don't want to say the beginning, because to be totally honest, 2021, we were kind of just about, or had just entered lockdown number 3 or whatever number we were on at that point in time. So, definitely different times. And, I don't think we're going to go back to that. I don't think anybody foresaw that lasting as long as it did. But at the same time, we were all in that together, and it was, definitely different times. And I'm glad to see, like you said, the sun is shining, the days are longer, there's a little more sunshine, a little more daylight out there. And, it's nice when I go out for a run or something to see more people. Not that there wasn't a lot of people through the winter out walking. There's a lot of regular walkers in town, but to see more and more people out, right, gives them a good excuse to get out of the house and to do things. Even today, we had a mid-afternoon fire.
Nice.
Burning some old paperwork and some shrubbery and stuff that was around the house. So it was kind of nice to get outside and just make an excuse to set a fire. So
honestly, I was talking to my fiance the other day and just about the weather and how much it changes our mental health, and not to go too in depth about it, but it was dramatic. I don't know if it's that the masks are gone and stuff's starting to lift, and I've got a wedding this year and like a huge summer with like standing up in a buddy's wedding, just a lot of stuff that's like that's to be happy about this summer. But maybe a couple of weeks ago it was like plus 16, plus 18, and I my entire mood changed dramatically, and I've craved it like a genuine like I almost can relate it to when I was smoking. That's how much I craved the sun and being outside and like the fresh air, and I'm sick of being inside, man.
Yeah. And, you know, when there's nothing else to do, you know, when our options are kind of limited per se, you know, like, and you have to go out and you have to have a mask on and you feel guarded all the time. Now you can go out and you don't have to feel like you have to put a mask on. You can if you want to, and there's things to do outside. And, you know, that's why we have to get through those tough months, because like the short, dark, cold months are the months that, you know, they say hibernate, but you still have to get through them. And that's why having, you know, good things in your toolbox to kind of help you get through. You're still there? Get through, you know, some of those tough times are great to have, right? Having outlets, having things that you're doing, having things that you're, you know, you're working towards, like, you know, you have some weddings that you're, you know, you're standing up for and things to look forward to, you know, kind of puts you in a better mindset that, you know, at least you have some things on the calendar, you know, that you can look forward to. Because, you know, as a racer, a triathlon racer, you know, for the better part of 2 years, if you wanted to race, you had to go overseas or you had to go down south, like to the States to race anything, because Canada's mandates and laws, they weren't having any races. So, you know, for somebody who trains 20 hours a week, swimming, biking, and running, to have nothing on the calendar, you know, you really have to have a little bit of discipline to kind of keep doing the work that you need to do, right? Just in case the season turns around. And that's exactly what happened last year, with Canada loosening some of their mandates. And I was able to race up in the Muskokas, and it was a full race, and everybody did what they had to do in terms of masking up and being mindful of, you know, social distancing as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
But this year it looks like everything's going to be wide open again for racing. And, you know, that's pretty exciting for me, at least.
That's a great transition. And I'm really glad you brought up like your experience in racing and how much you train. And the last time that we spoke, we got on the podcast and it was to talk about your 21 marathon or your 31 marathons in 31 days to raise money for Alzheimer's awareness. And that's the reason why we got together last time. Also, like just you being like in town and being such a friendly figure that everyone knew to see and knew by name, and you always joked around and shot the shit. And it was just so awesome to speak to you. But that makes me want to like jump right into how much more educated I am in some of the stuff that you do. I think that the first time we sat down, it was almost like this guy was always the most friendly guy in town. He's well-spoken. He knows a lot of the locals. He is running 31 marathons in 31 days. This is a great first podcast, a guest to just get me motivated and get me pushing. And I didn't really know much about what you did. I was like, okay, the guy jumps on a bike, swims in a pool, runs a lot. And I was so naive and uneducated into what you actually do. Can you please introduce yourself, what you do, where people can find you, and then I really want to jump into your triathlons and specifically Ironman.
So I am a health and fitness coach with Beachbody, and I'm also a triathlon and run coach as well. I've been doing pretty much all of those exclusively since we shut the restaurant down in 2020. It has been a niche that I've wanted to go into. It's been a passion of mine for many years, but it's been a niche that I've wanted to get into for probably 4 or 5 years. And now that I'm in it, I love it. It's wake up every day and I get to do what I love. And, you know, and what I love about it too, is just reaching out to people that are looking for that little change. And sometimes, you know, they're looking for, you know, just a little tip or a trick or something that I can help them with, or sometimes they're looking for the whole thing, right? I need you to be right beside me. I need you to develop a nutrition plan. I need you to set up my triathlon training plan. Right. And everybody's journey is a lot different. We can say, you know, I'm sure you're in a lot different space because I've been watching you and you've been very diligent about how you work and do things and your mindset. It's a big thing, right? Because not everybody's ready to take that leap, because you know what, the biggest thing is change is hard. Our bodies don't like change. They like what they've been doing. And obviously these changes happen over a long time where we get used to doing something a certain way. So to change that, it means you have to do this good habit for a long time to make it habit. So we think that things can change in a day or a month or or even a year. Sometimes it takes a long time to break through a bad habit, but it can happen. And that's why I feel so passionate about it, because I help you achieve those goals. And more importantly, maybe the mindset to get to those goals.
And you know what, George, the most attractive thing about it is you're not a bullshit guy. You're a straightforward to the point. You tell it as it is. And I've always respected that about you. And that's why I respected so much your insight and your push into the fitness world. I'm still so new to it. Though I'm not no gym expert now that I've been doing it for 70 days. There's no way. I've got a lot of stuff to get like ahead of me and stuff to learn and stuff to work on. But when I first spoke to you, it was just I watched you on Facebook and your Facebook lives every Sunday and on Instagram, just constantly eating well. And I used to always say, like, the guy eats like a rabbit. Like, none of the stuff you ate was stuff that I wanted to eat, but I was watching your progress. I was watching like every day. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I wake up in the morning, I see your Instagram video, and you're out there at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or wherever you're up, and you're in your gym, your man cave, you're getting at it. And then later in the day, I'm seeing you on the bike and you're just grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding. You're pushing and pushing. Then you set this huge feat for yourself. And I guess my question of this whole thing is like, how did this health kick start? I remember seeing a couple of pictures of you on Instagram, and it was a picture of you a little heavier and you now and like your big process. I don't remember ever seeing you that heavy. So what was the first like punch or kick that like got you to be like, I want to take control of my health and this is how I'm going to start?
Yeah. So, it's funny. I was just talking about this story the other day. I was actually getting a ride to work. My wife was giving me a ride. I was drinking my coffee, just your normal day, going in, and we were going down, a bumpy road in Tulsberg, and I could just feel the loose stuff jiggling. And I don't know whether I'd never noticed it before or, I was just to that body composition wise that I was like, okay, what? And I was like, it was like, I'm just, what is going on? And from that day on, I said, I need to start doing something a little better. And, there was probably many signs, wedding photos and pictures to, when we've gone on vacation, I've had the shirt off. And, I've maybe never looked at myself with that eye of like, I'm not going in the right direction, right? If what I'm doing is leading me down this road, I need to stop that now, right? I never looked at that until that point. That was my defining moment in terms of my health. And from then on, like your journey, I just started taking baby steps. Okay, what do I need to do? And then I learned about, just even portion sizing and lots of veggies and things like that. And we're talking, it's 2022. So we're talking like 2005 to 6. It's been a long journey. The best thing about having a journey like this, though, is you learn a lot of ways not to do it. And you learn about the pitfalls of jumping into a fad diet or just the things that don't work. And to be totally honest, after all of my years, the biggest thing that works is just consistency. There's no, you can't just kill it for 1 week and then, take a week off. You know what I mean? You can't kill it for even
100%.
5 days and take 2 days off. It's got to be every day. You've got to be consistent.
That's so funny that you say that. Like, first off, you say 2005. I'm like, I was 10. like I had zero.
That's probably why you don't remember me being kind of chubby.
I guess so, but obviously you've been at a grind, like, and I love that because I have seen it, and not like over and over again, but I've definitely seen it where someone's like, I want to be on this health kick, I want to push, I want to lose weight, I want to do it, and they bust their ass for like 16, 17, 18 months, and then they're in the shape they want to be at, and they're like, I did it, I lost all the weight. Now, like, no, I'm not saying they decided to just go back to the way they were eating, the way they were drinking, but they dropped the weight loss or the working out, the physical activity. And it's just like, I'm already at the goal weight I want to be at. If I just eat less, I'll be fine. And then it was just like slowly, like, you just saw them gain it and gain it and gain it. And you are so relatable to me in so many aspects. Because when you talked about going down the road and you felt like jiggling in areas you didn't before, that's not necessarily what happened to me, but my underwear, it's hilarious, where my belt line is, my underwear would like fold over itself, and it would get really uncomfortable when I stood up. My underwear would be flipped over because my stomach fat flipped it. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, I've never had that happen. Like, why? Like, and then my underwear in my drawer, but I'll have that crease where my stomach was sitting. And I was like, since when? Like, why did I let myself either get to this point of feeling this way, and now I'm just like upset with myself and angry and emotional, and it still took me months and months and months, and seeing you every single morning busting your ass and talking to other people that are just as motivated to lose weight and push and like have that goal and that drive. It did a lot. Like seeing, like surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded or motivational has always been such a big thing for me. Like even within the last couple of years, it just changed my life.
Yeah. You know, and like, so there's 2 points I want to chat with. First of all, like, you know, your journey and how you're talking about, it's just doing it. And, you know, when you think that, you know, your journey is not helping inspire others, it is, right? I didn't go out intentionally at first to, you know, inspire people. This is what I do triathlon, I do this. But, you know, eventually people start coming to you, and, you know, people are watching you and they're seeing, you know, what you're doing, and they're realizing, if he can do it, I can do it. You know, I can reach out to him because he's exactly where I am or where I want to be now. Right. You know, and there's plenty of different shapes and sizes out there and levels of ability, and just, you know, just what, you know, that, you know, everybody's story will help somebody. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, is that, you know, even though some of the times I put some stuff out there and like, oh, that's not going to help out. And then I'll get 3 or 4 people out of the blue that I really love that. Like, how did you start that? Why, you know, why are you doing that? And then, you know, I go from there and I just make the conversation, and it's really nice to just see people genuinely, you know, appreciate the effort that I go through. And if I can help them in any way, shape, or form, that just instills, you know, that, you know what, even if, you know, it's not a business client or whatever the case may be, I can say I've helped them kind of start a journey for themselves, you know, to be the healthier version of themselves. Because I think at the end of the day, I just want to see people that are in my community live longer lives, live longer, healthier lives. That's the, you know, the main goal. You know, you talk about losing people along the way. Oh, he died too young, or he's sick and he's living with ailments all the time. Well, we can beat that. You know, we can beat that by just being more passionate about our health. To go back to, you know, the first point where you're talking about people that get to certain, you know, goals and targets. The problem is with that is they probably not associated the healthy lifestyle. They had the goal of just getting to there, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get there, instead of instilling good nutritional habits and exercise and having recovery days and enjoying life along the way. They looked at that as the end goal, whereas eating healthy and working out, it's something you do for life.
You're right. And I think I only just recently started to respect that in the way that I should. Only in the fact that I decided to do the 30 days, 45 minutes a day of physical activity and read a book and drink a gallon of water. I was like, you know what, I can do that. Yeah. And then as I got into that program, when I reached day 30, literally, and this is why I always say, no one's going to do it but you. Like, no one's there to kick your ass. No one's there to push you. No one cares that you've done it until you've done it. And I'm not, right. And I don't mean that in like your family and your friends will support you. I get that. But when I reached day 30 and I beat the feat, I did the 40 days, 45 minutes a day. I did the gallon of water. I read my David Goggins book. I did my things. At day 30, when I said, I'm going to do 30 more days, I feel good. I'm pushing myself. On that day 30, I had probably 10 people reach out to me and say, I want to be in the next 30. Like, you busted your ass. You did well. They could see it in my face, or in my energy, at least in my times I woke up and the times I went to sleep, how much more energy I had, how much better my skin looked, how much better I felt. And they wanted to join in. And as soon as that happened, my motivation went from, I want to be here, to I've got to be here, because it went to, I'm not just pushing myself anymore. I'm not just doing it for me anymore. I'm doing it for the people who, I don't care if it's one person or 100,000 people. If there's one person that's like, I'm doing this because you did it. That's why my slogan the entire time has been, if I can, you can.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's so beautiful. And like, that's just the power of just your story is a very powerful thing. It can help so many people out. That's why, you know, you never underestimate, you know, your story in comparison to somebody else's. And to that point, you know, a lot of people, they'll let you go through that tough time, but then they want to ride on your shoulders as you're going through victory, right? Like you look at any box office movie star or rock star or even athlete, you know, I can maybe understand it more from an athletic perspective, you know, people that have, you know, you've known forever. And then all of a sudden, you know, they have a breakout win, like a guy that I followed, have known for years, had like a breakout win in a tough field the other day. And everybody's like, who is this guy? Like, you know, people that know him know he's been working hard forever, you know, but others are just like, oh, you know, and that happens with so many times, you know, we kind of forget how hard people are working until they make it big. And then like, oh man, this guy, I want to be like him. Well, no, you don't, because you got to work your ass off.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone always wants the end goal, but
yeah,
like that's why it's like so relatable, and it's so nice to talk to you, because it's the same thing. Like, I'm such a smaller scale right now, but like with the workout thing, you've done it for years. Like you said, 2005,
yeah,
I've seen your videos. I've seen how many people come to your gym, and people that do the workouts with you, and you post all those pictures of all the guys that are working out together. And I got to see a glimpse of that. And I still am. I had like 5 more people that said, I'm going to do the next 30 days with you, that already did the first. And then a bunch of people join on again. It honestly helps me more than they believe. And then I believe it helps me more than it helps them. Yes, I did the beginning work, and they were like, it works. Like, let's do this, like whatever. And I was the number one guy to do the keto and do these fad diets. And I wanted to lose weight right away. And then I realized I did it for a week, lost 8 pounds, didn't do it for 3 days, 8 pounds is back. So
yeah,
I realized that there's a lifestyle change that you need to make, and you need to dive into it. And maybe some of the people that decided they want to do this with me maybe regret it, because I was the guy that was messaging them that night. Where's your watch picture? Like, did you work out today? What was your workout? Some of the people that came back and was like, I was too busy. I didn't have enough time. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, I get it. People have busy lives. You do. I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on in people's lives. And yes, maybe sometimes, maybe it's the David Goggins book that changed my mindset on this. It legit changed everything about my mindset, but you always have time. Wake up 20 minutes early, go to bed 25 minutes later. There's your 45 minutes. I get it.
Yep.
Maybe don't prioritize losing sleep over it, but the days that are harder or busier, or you're tired or you're upset or you're angry, I have yet to have a day where I didn't get the crap kicked out of me, either at work or or with family or with friends or someone passing away or anything, where a workout did not help me. It was not, I didn't do 45 minutes and feel worse after. I did 45 minutes and felt 10 times better and more aware and more awake.
Yeah, you know what? You touched on like a really sharp, pointy subject there with the time thing. I think everybody's go-to, you know, way to get out of something is, I'm just too busy, and I just want to strangle, or just like, you're full of shit, because everybody's got time. And you know what? I know people that are 15 times busier than you that can still fit in a workout. So don't tell me it's time, because time is just the biggest cop out, and it maddens me. But I think at the same time, I've grown a little bit more accustomed to hearing it regularly. And what we need to do is we need to break down, you know, the confines of what you think is busy. I think a lot of people think that their life is busy, and, you know, in all honesty, I find a workout makes me less busy, because I have more energy for the rest of the day. So I accomplish more things, and I have to prioritize
100%
more accordingly than just like, oh, I'll get to the workout. I'll get to the workout. I'll get to the workout. Oh, I didn't get to the workout. Right. But if you put it first, everything else is just going to be crushed. Right. And it's a little bit different in my perspective. So I understand, you know, I work from home, and, you know, I work in my gym and whatnot. I go to other people's houses and stuff. But that doesn't mean I still have to have the motivation to do my own training and to get my things done and to work my business like I do. Right. So I find it sometimes a little more hard, because I still have to, you know, my triathlon training is a part-time job, I would say. And then my other businesses are, again, probably close to, you know, 15 to 20 hours as well. So, you know, I put in a full week of work, and, you know, showing up, the biggest thing. And that time thing is just, I think what people need to do is they just need to establish that busy is the new norm. 100%. Having no time is the new norm. Like, don't look at having no time or being busy as something that's only for you, because that's where people are deluded. Oh, I'm so busy. Well, you think
Yeah, you think
Greg, you're not busy. George, you're not busy. And my mom, who's 70, is busy. She is always doing something. So, you know, your excuse can't be busy anymore. It's and here's where it gets real. For somebody that says, I want to make change and I want to do this, I want to do that, I have goals, and they say they're busy, then it's just not important to you. It's, you don't want those things bad enough. You would move heaven and earth.
100%.
Right?
And I was that person though. Like that's the only reason why I say it. That's the only reason why I put it out there into the world, or I get mad at other people that say I'm too busy, I didn't have time, this came up, I have kids. And yes, 100%, I can't speak for or appreciate the fact of having kids. I get it. I'm not there yet in my life. Yeah. But I was also the person who, if there was an excuse to be had, I was making it. If there was anything, I could stub my toe getting out of my truck and I'd be like, I guess I'm not working out tonight. My foot hurts. Like it didn't matter what it was. I was the king of excuses, and I still have my days. Don't get me wrong. I have not missed a workout because now I'm a big streak guy. Once I'm on a streak, I don't want to break that streak. There's no breaking this streak. I'm rolling, but maybe that's why I get a little more passionate about it. And one of the things that, like, I believe maybe you reached out to me when I started reading the David Goggins book.
Yep.
That like 40-minute rule of like, you're only ever at your 40 minutes. And that's when your mind's telling you to stop. You've got another 60 left in you, has blown my mind in not even working out, just in my day. Like, yeah. I didn't realize, like, now that I schedule like almost every hour of my day, the amount I get done is dramatic. Like, compared to what I was, like, even when it just comes to podcasting, when you talk about running triathlons, like it's like a part-time job for you. You're doing so much training and so much fitness every day. The podcast takes my time too. I try and edit. I try and come up with content. And I try and come up with different things to promote it. And I edit a bunch of clips and I create like different backgrounds. And like, I know it's something so ridiculous to people who don't do it, but it's still part of my time. It's something I'm passionate about. And I make sure I prioritize the time that I need for it every single day. But I'm not skipping out on that workout. I'm not doing this so that I don't do that. I'm not, I guess, I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but I prioritize the stuff that I want to do in my day, including my job. And I make sure I get it in every single day. I'm not going to not edit on podcasts because I want to work out. I'm not going to work out because I want to, like the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you are, definitely, you're all around this subject, and it comes down, and you talk about streaks, and I just, when you say streak, I hear habit, right? Because you can be on a streak of working out like every day, or whatever, wherever you're at. I hear habit. You've now made it a habit, 30 days, and doing 30 days at a time is a great way to chunk it around. Like you say, I'm gonna do this for 15 days or 30 days. And then, you don't have anything going on the next 30 days, right? Now you've kind of been taking all these people on your journey with you, and now they're starting to do that. Now you've got a little more something, and it's become more than just habit. And now you're tying in, because now you're filling your cup in the morning or at night, whenever you work out. And now you're helping other people do the same, right? And it helps them show up better than their lives. And that's a lot about what we do as coaches too, like, just teaching people that it's easy to eat clean, or it's easy to eat even just marginally better, right? People think it's so hard to eat what I eat. It's not, and at first, it might seem a little difficult, but it's not. It just takes a little bit of planning, because when you plan, you're prepared. And when you're prepared, you don't delve into things that you shouldn't be eating, or things that, like, oh man, I really wish I wouldn't have done that. Or I really wish we wouldn't have ordered pizza, and if I just prepped some food last night, or whatever the case might've been. People think that there's just so much more to it, and how do you do that? And it's like, it's like setting up for a podcast. You got to do your research, you got to look for content, you got to look for people that are going to be on your show. Well, you know what? I look at recipes, I check things out, I start prepping some of my food so that when it comes to lunchtime, it's already prepared for me, and I just have to put it together. And there you go. I've eaten a healthy meal, and I'm done.
That's a very good transition, because I really, really, really wanted to talk to you about your healthy eating. And I know that ours is so different. I also know that you're a person that you've chosen what works for you and you really enjoy, and that's what you do. But you're also not the person that says this is the way you have to do it, which I really like.
Oh, no.
So
No.
I guess my question for you was, do you look for all your nutrition in just what you eat, or you also take supplements?
Okay, so the company that I work for, we have a nutritional shake. So that has pretty much all the supplements that I take. My wife will beef hers up with a Power Greens burst, and just gives her a little more vegetables in her diet.
Yeah.
But that's it. I supplement with almost all whole foods. I am vegan. I do delve into fish every once in a while, but mostly all plant-based goodness. So really easy to find these things. You don't have to, you just have to shop on the outside of the supermarket, and everything's readily available. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's really hard to buy fresh produce because it's so expensive. But in comparison to, some of the stuff you find in the middle aisles, it's not too far off, and at least what's in them. And minimizing the amount of processed things in your diet make a huge difference in your gut health and how well your body responds to the food you're putting into it.
That's not the first time I've heard. And I interviewed a girl called Christina Topic. She lost a ton of weight.
Yes.
And she said the exact same thing, George. She talked about sticking to the outsides of the grocery store.
Yep.
And it's something that you think about it after it's been said, and you're like, that is so simple, and it makes so much sense. You got your veg, you got your dairy, you've got your meat, which some people choose to avoid some of those categories, but for the most part, sticking to those outside areas is a pretty safe bet.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people think that I always think it makes shopping easier, because you don't have to go into the middle of the shopping mart. And for me, being that I do know quite a few people, and a lot of people are like, oh, where have you been? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I don't have to run into all these people. And my shopping trip only takes about a half hour as opposed to an hour. I'm just rearranging because my phone is about to die.
No, do you gotta do.
And and that's the big thing too. Definitely when you eat better, you feel so much better too. And it's something that my wife and I are doing right now. We've really focused on cutting out a lot of things out of our day, like caffeine and sugar and alcohol and dairy. And we've seen massive change in 2 days. I've gone from, having that brain fog in the morning to just oh my God, I feel great in it. And my daughter was like, well, it's only been a day and a half. And I go, I get that, but my body feels great. I've been nailing all my workouts, and not fueling or, going through the morning. And I think the big thing for me is being able to wake up. And I used to be like, I need 2 coffees and I need to eat such and such on on my bike ride, or if I'm running, or whatever the case may be. On the plan that I'm on, it doesn't allow for that. So what I've found is I'm doing these workouts and I'm like, you know what? Hey, I don't really need to do that. I don't really need to have the maple syrup. I use maple syrup as my exclusive kind of bike or run fuel.
Wow.
Because it is plant-based, and it's pretty much just sugar, right? So I've used it successfully in Ironman Arizona, and I think I used it at Ironman Muskoka as well.
Well, you were eating those little maple candies last time I talked. It was pure maple, but
made by the Haze maple syrup. And amazing. Yeah, she goes out and she makes some candies for me, and that's what I use. And they work like a charm. But yeah, I think what until you try something different, and then you're like, oh, that works too, right? So that's where we go back to giving yourselves little challenges and trying something different. Just because it's worked one way for a long time doesn't mean this other way won't work as well, right?
It also doesn't mean it's the best way. You can feel good and still not feel your best.
Right. 100%.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, you know, like they said, they like, oh, I could change, but you know, that means I'd have to change, and it, you know, it'd be hard, and you know, I'd have to do this.
Yeah.
And we've all said it. I'm not saying I haven't. I've probably said it 1,000 times. But what I've learned is, you know, when you challenge yourself, you end up becoming a lot stronger at the end of it, and you learn what you can do and what you can get by on. And you know, like, we live in a pretty great country where we live in a world with, like, we have everything. There is nothing that we can't go without. If we wanted to eat 6 meals a day, we probably could eat 6 or 7 or 8 meals a day. Whereas people can live very productive and healthy lives and be happy, you know, eating 1 meal a day, if they even get that. Like, so I think we just need to figure out what is, you know, enough for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that North America in general has an issue with, is when it comes to overeating, and we definitely do. And I've always agreed with, we overeat meat. And I say that in the fact of just looking at a basic, like, high school nutrition chart. Like, it's just like, it just seems like we used to prioritize your grains and your veg on your plate, and then your little tiny piece was your meat. And now it seems like that's the focal point of all meals, all the time, every day, all day.
Yeah.
I guess my next question for you is, yes, you talk about your diet and the stuff you eat, and I don't know how I just recently got into coffee, let alone getting rid of it. I didn't need it. I didn't work out like I do now. I didn't use as much energy as I do now, and I never needed it. I never felt tired during the day. How do you recover? That's the thing that I'm struggling with right now. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm hurt. My neck is destroyed. My back hurts like heck. And I don't even feel like I'm overworking out. I just, what is your ideal choice for recovery, or what is your step-by-step routine for it?
Okay. So I think you need to have a little context. So like I said earlier in the show, when I was racing or training for Ironman Arizona in November, I was getting into the 24 to 28 hours a week in training. So that's swim, bike, run, and weight training. There were a few workouts that would be in the kind of more mobility, stability, stretching, yoga range. By the way, I liked Yoga Dads. That was bang on. I love that. Recovery wise though, I mean, I think it goes down to your nutrition, right? Like drinking lots of water, like you've been doing. When you've had a hard session or you're really tired, you know, putting the feet up or stretching it out a little bit, rolling, using a foam roller. Those are all, you know, proactive and preventative measures as well. But eating, like, just, it's going to go back to food always and almost the most. Really? You know, sleeping, getting good sleep, and eating whole foods, right? Just as soon as you worked out hard, or what is hard for you, getting in, you know, a good protein and some good carbohydrate to help the body start repairing muscle and getting your energy stores back up, and staying on that, not missing meals, right? You know, having your cheat day, like I work on, well, when I'm not being good, like I am for this next 28 days, I have like a good cheat day where I just go, I can do whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. I can have more beers. I can do whatever I want, but then it's back to work, you know, the next day. So normally that day for me would be Sunday, because I like to, or, you know, maybe Saturday night, because normally Saturday morning is like a big bike and a run off the bike. And then Sunday's a long run, but, you know, so I kind of use it as a refuel and, you know, kind of recharge the mental faculties. But yeah, just sleep, food, water, biggest recovery methods. You know, protein shakes are great and they work, but, you know, I've seen many people that have not used them in their lifetime and had great success by just sticking consistently to like their water, whole foods, and their sleep.
And that first 30 days, the gallon of water, I didn't realize, like, I'll tell you right now, I drive all day, and the bathroom frequency was not fun. But getting that gallon of water today, I was just blown away by just like the smallest things. Like, and maybe it was in my mind, but even after like 2 weeks, like it felt like my nails were growing faster. My hair was
Yes.
like felt, I don't know, it just felt so different. Like my skin felt softer, like, and it was just water. I didn't change anything. When I first started the first 30 days, I was like, you know what? I don't want to lose my mind on this 30 days. I'm going to eat and do everything in my life the exact same, but I'm going to fit in 45 minutes of exercise a day, 1 gallon of water, and 10 pages of a book. I'll do that for the first month. Try not to go crazy. Went through it just fine. The second month, I started to like do little different things. Like I started to eat a little leaner, eat a lot less, pack more lunches, eat out far less. And me and my
Nice.
fiance have started to avoid the middle of the grocery store. Started to make, we didn't realize how much more we could cook. Like
Yeah.
even the simplest things, like, and one that you touch on all the time in your stories, we started to eat a lot of ramen. Not the like, we didn't use like the packages or anything with it, but we bought like the bulk ramen
Yeah.
noodles, and we made our own
Same.
like sesame chicken with like a Asian mix of veggies, and just like things like that, like where every single thing we used other than like the sesame oil was all from the outside of the grocery store, and the flavors and taste we got, it was just, it seems so much farther away and so much harder to do until it was done.
Yeah. Like I said, like a lot of people just don't realize what they can cook. And,
So true.
yeah, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit. And, it's easier to buy. It's easier to buy prepackaged or pre-made or, just put in the oven, because it goes back to, I don't have time.
Uh-huh.
It's not time. You feeding, you should be paramount to putting great stuff in your body. It shouldn't be just like an afterthought. It shouldn't be like, well, I got to eat something, so let's order pizza and have some beers. Time and place for that, 100%.
For sure.
But on the whole, we should have many times where we're making at least 90% of our meals and going out that 10%.
I was doing like 40% out. I was on the road for 9 hours a day. Every single lunch I was eating out. Every breakfast I was grabbing a coffee and a bagel from Tim Hortons. It was just, the money savings alone in the past 65 days is dramatic. Like,
Crazy.
and like you said, people don't realize what they can cook at home. Like, I was the person that made the excuse that I didn't have time to cook and I didn't have time to work out, yet I'd watch 3 hours of Netflix at the end of the day sitting on the couch on my phone. And it
Yeah.
was like I prioritized those things. In my mind, I needed that time of my day so I didn't go crazy. I needed to sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing to be able to fathom doing the rest of my day. And now that I'm doing the 45 minutes of exercise, and I try to always emphasize the fact that I'm not just trying to like look at someone and be like, you need to work out, you need to change your life, or you're going to be a loser, your life's not going to be worth anything. Like, that's not the type of message I try to put off. But if you do want change, if you do think that you're not feeling your best throughout the day, if you think that you're capable of doing more in your day and you want to, then do it. Like, no one is going to do it for you. And we're not going to be able to just show up at your house and say, this is what you're doing today, let's do it. Like, you have to make the decision for yourself.
100%. And I think too, it goes back to that consistency, because consistency and making things a habit are what's going to get you up when it's one of those tough days. We all have those tough days. And like I said, people aren't going to do it for you. So that's why, we need to create that habit so that even on the tough days, and I can tell you, even like since I got back from the Dominican a week and a half ago, there's been probably 10 workouts that I didn't even want to start. Right. You're just in one of those funks. It's cold. You come back, I had a bit of a sniffle, and, and my head was just not in Canada. I had a bit of a sunburn. I had the excuses. I had them ready to just go. Oh yeah, I'm going to wait till I'm feeling better. Discipline gets you back on the bike. Discipline gets you out for that run. Discipline gets you back into the cold garage to start weight training again. And doing the things, getting to the pool when you can't breathe is hard enough when you can breathe. But you did it, because I'd rather have a bad workout than miss one and say I missed one because, and now that being said, I'm not saying go out there and if you're feeling horrible or you have a fever or you're fluish or whatever the case may be, that you go out there and do it. But using that as an excuse all the time. Yeah. So I can proudly say I only missed one workout. And I did half of it because I actually encountered 3 coyotes on the golf course trail at the back end. So I decided to pack it in for the day and walk very gingerly home through the trail system. So other than that, yeah, no excuses. No excuses. If you want something bad enough, I mean, you think about people want, they want the house. So what do? They work really, really, really hard so they can make the money so they can get the mortgage to get that house, right? Why don't we ever think of our health that way? I want to live to be 60, 65, be well past 65, but be healthy and be able to enjoy my kids, my grandkids, great grandkids, do all the things in my 80s, 90s. Like, I want to do an Ironman in my 80s. Like, that is my goal right now, is to make sure that I'm healthy enough in my 80s that I can traverse 140.6 miles via swim, bike, run. And because that's not a big group, you don't see a lot of people. And that might be my only legit chance of getting to the Ironman World Championships in Kona, if it's still happening 30 something years from now.
The way that you say that is lost all my train of thought when you started talking about being 80 and running an Ironman. Ironman is something that I really, really, really wanted to touch on, because I had a very, and not in a rude way, I was so ignorant to what Ironman was. I literally just thought you liked running these races. I don't know what this Ironman stuff is. He just goes out and runs a lot. Like, if you would have asked me, what is this Ironman stuff that George does? Oh, he just runs for a really long time. I didn't realize that it's like an ultra triathlon.
Yeah, it's the longest one-day triathlon you can do. Like, there is ultra Ironmans, but an Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim or a 3.8K swim for us Canadians, 180K bike, and a 42.2K run, which is a marathon distance. So it works out to be 140.6 miles or 212 kilometers or something like that. Was it 214?
George,
whatever.
That is exhausting to hear.
Yeah.
Even hearing you say the numbers of how long you have to, and people don't take into consideration 90% of the time, or maybe all the time, I don't know, Ironman, you're not swimming in a swimming pool. You're getting out into a lake or a river, and you're swimming in open water.
Yeah.
Which is you can practice all you want to swim for, what'd you say, 3.8 kilometers?
Right.
All you want in the public pool. Once you get thrown out into open water, like you even said, like even oceans with Ironman, it's a completely different ballgame. When you're getting on your bike and you're on city roads or highways or whatever this long distance jog is on, it's just so many obstacles that are thrown into it. And I was very, very ignorant to the concept of what an Ironman was until I read that book by David Goggins.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a good example of a guy that, he's a beast. And I think he when he did that one Ironman, I think he did Kona just around 13 hours or 13 and a half hours, I believe, through the Marines. The Marines always got they could put in a few contestants. So he raced one year, and he did pretty well, considering he wasn't really doing Ironman training per se. But yeah, it's a long day, and at the end of the day, it always comes down to just being mentally sound, because you can't win the race in the swim, and then you've got to bike 180K, and then you've got to be very conservative with your energy, and you have to be replenishing energy because you still have to run 42.2 kilometers once you get off the bike.
This is exactly where my respect for the entire competition came from, because I was reading that book and he was talking about how ignorant he was to the fact that he just thought, I'm in great shape, I can run. I think it was just an ultra marathon in general that he wanted to run, just running long distances. And he realized that the fitness aspect, yes, it obviously is very important. You're not just going to jump off your couch, have a great mindset, and you're going to finish an Ironman. But he said of how specific or how important making sure that you were well prepared for the day, whether or not it was shoes or weather permitting clothes or stuff to keep yourself what word am I trying to think here? Nourished. throughout the whole process. And like you said, making sure you're not blowing yourself out in the swim and then having to hop on a bike, or blowing yourself out on the bike and then having to get to the run. Like it was just very, very eye-opening to how much time, effort, process, and just planning it takes to do one of these. So I did follow you along. I signed up on the Ironman website to be able to follow you during your last Ironman, Arizona. Yeah. So I followed you through that, and it was just like you always see people's iPhones or whatever of their little like tracker of them running through their neighborhood, and you're like, okay, cool, like 10 kilometers, that's a pretty cool distance. Then you see yours, and it's just like flying through a lake and then a bike way up here and way back down. I'm just like, what? I didn't know, even still at that point, I didn't know what Ironman was. So I was like, when does this end? Like, how long am I following this guy around? Like, is he alive? Like, should I call his family? Like, how long is he going to be on this bike? It was just, it's very, very mind blowing to know what you've done, George. Like it's something that the general public would be so uneducated in. And if you told them, I think majority of the general public that you did an Ironman, they would congratulate you just out of not knowing what it was and not having a genuine respect of what it actually takes to do it.
Yeah, it's Ironman is just something that I have a passion for. I love that distance. I love, and it's had a love-hate relationship with me. Like I've done 6 of them now. I've done, I think, 13 or 14 half Iron distance races. And the Ironman race is just, it's all about, figuring out your nutrition, and just being able to, put your run down, because everybody, you see people that just bike and they are swim and bike, and then they walk the run. And, that's just been something that I just hate doing. And I had to do a little bit of it. I was in great position, coming into like 24 kilometers. And then, the wheels started falling off and I was into like a walk jog kind of mindset, but I felt good. I recovered the next day. I felt, a little tired, but, I felt really good. So I'm there. I've almost got the secret recipe for me, what's going to get George to the Ironman World Championships. It's definitely, a goal of mine. And I think it's been a happier goal lately because I'm going to get there. So I might as well just enjoy the journey that I'm on to getting there, as opposed to like, oh, if I don't get it, oh, that's going to suck. Right. Like you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and
True.
Performing under pressure for, 10 hours is not an easy thing to do. When you're an age grouper and you're not a professional athlete, right? You shouldn't be going sub 9 hours. So it's definitely, and and the best thing is I still get to take people on this journey with me and show them, the whole lifestyle. It's not just about swimming, biking, and running. It's about, having a happy life and enjoying, the little things, and having good food and enjoying your family, and then having those cheat days. Those are, I look forward to those cheat days.
That honestly is a great point. That reminds me of something. Like people that follow you on social media, I always only see how much you're working out, how much you love, like, and that is your passion. That's your hobby. That's what you love to do, is to train and work out and get ready for these Ironmans and get ready for these giant feats. What do you do outside of that? Like, what is George's like bliss of relaxation, or getting out of the gym, or getting out of all of the stuff that you do on your regular daily basis to try and train and perform at your best? What gets George just pumped up and excited for everything else?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I can think of is listening to the Heart to Heart podcast. First and foremost,
taking that clip out.
I read a lot. You know what? I enjoy my family. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like I am a very physical, like I like doing that stuff. I'm very passionate about it, but I like being with my family. We do brunch every Sunday with my family. I'm with my wife is here. My daughter is here. She's going to university in the fall. But I like being around them. My son and I have, times where we get together to watch something that's more manly oriented. But yeah, I just love spending time with family, because to be totally honest, it's one of those things that you can't get back. And it's one of those things that I missed out a lot on as a young man running a business. And now that I have the time, I will go out of my way to make sure family comes first first and foremost all the time. If I can help out, I will. It's what I'm doing. Like that's what I, and that's what I loved. And it's one thing that my parents couldn't give us because they were really busy in the restaurant business growing up. And I know they regret it. I also know that they, that's what they had to do, right? People had to work their jobs, and they weren't like we are now. Like they didn't have self-help. They didn't have, make sure you make time for yourself. No, it was like you work to make money so you can take care of your kids and have the house and do the things, right? And now I think our society, like our day and age, we're like, it's great to have that stuff, but if you don't have the health and the family to take along with you, what's it all worth anyways, right? I think we have a better mindset for the most part. I think, our society is starting to, adopt these kind of new mindsets where we're actually appreciative of the little things in life and not always looking for the mortgage. And I'm not saying jobs and all those things aren't important. I'm just saying we should appreciate, having kids and having a family and things to go home to.
You're reading my mind a little bit today, George. It almost sounds like you listened to my podcast with my fiance today. Me and my fiance did an episode where we talked about kind of my generation's pros and cons a little bit. Like it was more of just like, yes, like finally there's a day and age where your generation, your parents' generation aren't looked down upon or looked as weaker for dealing with mental health or dealing with stress or focusing on taking care of their health and well-being.
Yes.
As much as they were at that age, at their age and their generation. And also talk about like buying your first home, and like our generation just feels so pressured to go to college that they go for anything and then they end up in debt, not knowing what they want to do anyway. And it's just a lot of stuff going on in today's day and age. And I'm glad that you touched on that. It's very good to prioritize the time with your family. And the reason why I asked you that question to begin with is what you do outside of all this stuff is because I know if someone asked me the same question, it'd be like, yeah, like you do. Like I love swinging the golf clubs. I love to golf. I love those little hobbies. But like you said, like you love working out. You love doing that. You love spending time with your family. And I agree. Like these are my passions. I love to do podcasts and I love to talk to someone and get their story and hear what the stuff that like makes them tick. And that's that. I guess that's the main focus of why I asked you that question, is because I wanted to see if there was a giant list of things outside of exercising and fitness and planning for a triathlon and doing all these things that like that just made your mind move. And I'm glad there isn't. I'm glad that your focus is the stuff that you're passionate about. It's the stuff that you take time to do every single day. It's stuff that you've devoted many years of your lives or your life to get better at, and you have your goals to grow in those avenues. So I guess that's just why I wanted to know. I don't really prioritize a ton of stuff other than golf outside of my podcast and my work and my fiance and my family. So it's cool. It's very relatable. And
well, I know you're a pretty big family guy, and that's always been apparent. You guys have a great family, and you've always, you supported our family. So, kudos to you guys. You guys were always great. A lot of good laughs, a lot of good times over the years.
Oh yeah.
And I think, like there's a YouTube or some kind of clip out there where this professor has this jar and he starts filling it with things, right? And he's like,
yeah, I know you're talking about.
These represent your life and the big things in your life. And then, these, you're always going to have little things in your life. Like, I love golfing. I love even turning on the PlayStation to play, a game there. 48 years old. I'm not afraid to say that, sometimes you want to be a little nostalgic. Like I grew up through 100%. The age of Sega Genesis and Nintendo. And like, so I love going and just saying, I'm going to play a couple games of this. I love reading. I love, trying how to figure out how to play guitar. My brother lent me one of his guitars. So I've been kind of strumming that and just trying to figure it out. Like I have all these tiny little things that fill in my life, but they're not things that I'm passionate about yet. They're things that fill in the void spaces, the free time, as you might say, or they give me a little something more to do in my life. And sometimes having a broader range of things too, just helps me kind of develop, what is George, because, I am very passionate about my health and lifestyle and my family, but, can there be more? And I think there can always be more. And I think that's a question that we always have to ask ourselves going forward is, am I doing enough? Can I do enough? Can I do more? Right. And that's why, like you look at what I do, because I've never really put a limit on what I can do. I was like, well, I can do that. And now can I do more? Is there more that I could have done? Right. So if you put a limit on yourself, you're always going to be limited to what that is. Right. So got to challenge ourselves.
It's very well put. And I've always been the same way. I hate giving myself a limitation. And I also hate, and one thing that like pushes me to exceed people's expectations when people put a limit on me. Like the biggest thing that makes me grind and push forward is the people that tell me I can't. I encourage it. I love it. Please tell me it more, because it's going to do nothing but make me try and prove you wrong. And not even like an arrogant way. It literally fuels me, whether or not I'm going to be able to do it or not, or it's an achievable goal or not. It really does push me to do that. And over the years, like going into Corey's and seeing your friendly face and seeing your family in there, and just, it was a place for people to get together and enjoy family time. And you never really think about the fact that you and your family were working every time. And like you said, like your parents didn't have the same opportunity like you do to enjoy this time with your family because they were so busy running a business. And
right,
your family over how many years created a happy and fun environment for all these other families to enjoy and to spend with one another. So before we jump off here, I have a question I want to ask you. It's something that I'm starting to do in every podcast. I know who my next guest is, and I know what type of career path they're in. So I wanted to ask you a question as to, if you would ask them anything, what would it be? So the next person I'm having on is a nutritionist. She is in Woodstock, Ontario, and I'm excited to talk to her because I like you, now I'm just starting. I've done the physical activity, I'm doing the water, but I don't know what to do with my diet. I love eating meat. What meat's not good for me? What meat's good for me? What's good? What's bad? And I want to ask her a bunch of questions. If you could ask a nutritionist something, is there something specific that you would recommend I ask?
I would ask her the importance of gut health. Really ask her, what is the importance of gut health? And then how can I improve my gut health? That would be, for me, I would tell you that is probably the biggest thing you could ask her, and have her direct you in the according way. Because I think that would make a big difference in your life. That's what I'm doing right now. And I think it's something that everybody should really kind of take a little bit of a hold of. It's a big thing. You know, my father had colon cancer. I lost 2 grandfathers to it. And, you know, it's something that runs in our family. So it's something that I get checked for. And I think, you know, the more time that we think that, oh, it's hereditary or whatever, you know, we could be spending that time actually doing a little better by preparing our body for, you know, having better gut health.
I love that. I love that answer. And I will 100% ask her that question. On your point with the like hereditary thing, maybe it's a personal thing, but I sometimes find it to be crap. Like the way I look at it is, and it comes down to health and it comes down to eating. My dad's dad, let's just say, if they had a specific type of routine or diet or things that they always ate as a family, meals that they always ate that were just high in fat or high in certain things that were terrible for your gut health, then he did. And he passed on to his kids and they passed on to their kids. And there's always been this like hereditary, like the colon cancer thing is obviously something different. That's not what I mean. But even when it comes to obesity or any disease or weight issue, it seems like almost it's just like you're not changing what happened to the first person. Like you're still doing the same things. If you walk into a paint factory and you get cancer and then you hire 10 more people to walk in, why do you expect that their outcome is going to be different?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a personal thing, but I think change, I think, is necessary.
I think it's you're 100% right. And I think, you know, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but like they say that heredity, you know, when it comes to like diabetes or heart disease, it's like 10% or 12% or something like that, right? The rest is all diet and nutrition. And it just comes down to, you know, our parents and our parents' parents, they've taken habits, right? This is what we do when we get home from work. We sit on the couch, we eat our TV dinner, and then we go to bed. And then your parents teach that to you, and then you teach that to your kids. But hopefully somewhere down the line, you know, you break that mold. You know, you don't eat at 8:30 at night. You don't, you know, you get up and you have breakfast. You know, somewhere down the line, you got to look on like, what were they doing? Right. If they're getting sick at 60, were they actually eating well? Were they taking care of themselves? No. So
we're doing something wrong.
Yeah. We need to do something at 40 or 30 or wherever we are in our lives to make sure that at 60, this isn't a problem. And the thing is, to go back to our time thing, I know we're kind of running long here.
No,
no rush. A lot of people would say, I don't have time to get healthy. You have to ask them, do you have time to be sick? When you're like, do you want to fight for your life right now? Like, or anytime even soon? Like, if you want that to be a possibility, just keep doing what you're doing. Odds are it's going to happen. I would rather put the odds in my favor and work to be better and stronger and healthier, so that if it does happen, you know what, it happened. But at least I've had a good life along the way.
George, I cannot relate with that enough. The amount of time either grandparents or parents or family friends that have said like, well, I've been doing it for this many years, why would I change it now? Like, it seems to be working, or I don't have time to change. That is dramatic, even when it comes to mental health. And I think that it does attest to like a bunch of issues that we have in our actual health, not only just mentally, but even like if I'm upset or angry, the rest of my body doesn't feel good. Like mentally, it can affect my entire body in general. But even when it comes to like jobs, like one thing that I had throughout my life is watching my dad be pissed off with a job, angry, upset. And do you think it like sticking with that job because he was like, I'm too old to change jobs or to change to something else. Like, I've been here for so long. Like, if I was at the age and education I am now, I would have been like, get out of this job. Like, it's going to kill you. It's going to, it puts so much stress on the rest of your life. Like, you go home anxious and angry that you have to go back to the place tomorrow. Like, I feel like it has just as much of effect on you as what you eat. Like, be happy, like do the things that make you happy. Like,
100%.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can see that's a passionate thing about you, because, you have firsthand knowledge of that. So often you hear, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, get a house, blah, 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 blah.
Follow the book.
There shouldn't be a book. Why can't your story be something different than what everybody else is doing or what the societal norm is? I think we just kind of fall into this trap that, and our firstborn, went to 2 years of university, loved it, but he has a passion for cars and engines. So he's pivoting. He's still going to finish his degree online on his own timeline, but he's going to start working as a mechanic, and he's going to get an apprenticeship, and I'm just like, what? You're doing what you want to do. Like, what's going to make you happy? Like, what's going to light your fire? What's going to get you out of bed on the days that you don't really feel like getting out of bed? Well, if it's something that you're passionate about, that's more likely than getting up for a job that, couldn't care if that place burned down. And definitely when you bring home baggage every day, I have personal experience with that because I did the same with the restaurant business. It was kind of a godsend, when COVID came in and we were able to sell the restaurant. I was like, like, this is what it feels like to be outside of a business. And I love my father to death. We didn't meld well together in the business dynamic. It just felt like we were always putting out a fire, or I was putting out a fire, so to speak. And it got stressful, and I get it. I'm the youngest, but I also was like, I do have a voice here too. And I don't like the way things were going. And now we're on great speaking terms, and we're in a good spot. And, I wouldn't give up that for anything, because at the end of the day, if you don't have family and your health, I mean, what else do you really have? Right.
I like you touched on, like, there's no book, or there shouldn't be a book. It's like a false sense of what success is. Like, success always just comes across as you have a house, you have a car, you have a family, you are health. Like, health eventually makes it into this realm of success. You put like good paying job, roof over your head, beautiful home, beautiful kids, nice car, fancy clothes, going out on vacations, doing trips. You're successful. Oh my God, they're so successful. They make so much money. It's like, yeah, but like, they're both overweight, and I bet you that it really takes a toll on what they can actually do physically. And I truly have only recently started to respect the success side of feeling good in aspect to making a lot of money, because making a lot of money was just always such a passion of mine. But now it's just like such a mind-changing goal, since dad is just like, have your health. Like if you work your ass off your whole life, have a great pension plan. Oh, he's got a 5% pension matching contribution. He puts into his RRSP. He'll be set for life. Why don't we live right now? Like, why don't we worry about feeling good right now? Like, why am I worried? Like, dad's never gonna be able to use his RRSP or his pension plan or any of the shit that he saved for. So why does it even matter if we feel like crap right now today?
Right. I know it's it's like having your cake first, right? Like, I'm that age and I'm doing what I'm passionate about and I love doing it.
Love it.
And you know what, if when I'm 65, I want to be a Walmart greeter. Well, let's do that shit. Like I look forward to those kinds of days.
Coming to Walmart just to see George.
But at the same time, like, why are we waiting to live when we're, we haven't taken our body to live? We're waiting till 65, but we're just working to make the money, and our bodies aren't healthy enough to sustain life after retirement. Like, like if you're not preparing for that, if you're not like putting a little away in the health bank, you got to do something now that's going to extend your life. If that's all you're working for right now is to make money to enjoy when you retire. Oh, I want to do this, and I got to make sure there's enough in the RSP for this, and I got to make sure there's enough for that, and we want to travel when we're older and we retire. And then you get there and you're like, oh yeah, well now health insurance is more expensive, and now that trip it used to be $1,000, now it's $3,000 to rent that house for the summer or whatever the case may be. Like, do it now. Do it now while your kids want to be in the same house as you. Do it now when, your kids are around and they don't have families of their own, or while your mom and dad and your niece, nephew, whoever is around to actually enjoy, as opposed to like trying to live for 25 years down the road that isn't guaranteed. We don't know if that's going to be around. We're hoping it'll be around.
I don't know if tomorrow is. Like, my thing is, first off, I think that we need to realize that you can do both. Like, you can have your ideal of success and money and whatever you're looking for in life and be physically healthy and fit. And I'm not like, it's hard for sometimes for me to come across as this spokesperson because I've only been doing it for 70 days, but I've noticed the difference in 70 days. I speak passionately about it because I truly fucking believe it. Like, I'm not saying it out loud just because I'm like, you need to start losing weight and change your life. It's going to be the best thing ever. Like, I don't care. Like, do what you want to do. But if you want to have like, why don't you, I was about to just butcher the saying, like, make your cake and eat it too, or something like that.
Yeah.
If you want that, then do it. Do everything you want to do the rest of your life. Save money for your retirement. That's fine. But why save money for the last 20 years of your life if you're going to destroy it with how you treat your body right now?
Yeah. And it goes back to like, just like, if you're not healthy, I mean, it means nothing at the end of the day. Like, you'll end up, if you're not healthy at 65, guess where all that money's going to be going? It's going to be going to keep you alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, people like they don't think about that. And I'm not ill wishing this upon anybody, but I'm like, why would you wait for something to happen before you start doing something about it? Plenty of people I talk to, oh yeah, this is an issue. It's like, well, why don't you start doing this? Oh, well, the doctor said it'll be fine if I take these pills. It's like, well, is that how you want to solve this problem? Like, it's easy for a doctor to just push medication. And I have no problem with doctors. I'm not saying, like, just so we're clear here, I'm not trying to say doctors aren't a necessary part of our society. At the same time, when something that can be solved by just eating a little bit better, a little like going out for a walk every day, or, some self-help, just anything, I think, we just pass it off as like, well, the doctor will fix me.
And I don't want to go on to a tangent about it because we could talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing when COVID happened, George. Like, it was like, and I get it. Take the vaccine. Don't take the vaccine. Do whatever you want. It's your body. I don't care. But get outside. Go for walks. Improve your cardiovascular health, which is clearly the thing that this disease attacks when you get it. Make it stronger. Blow this thing off like a common cold and move on with your life.
100%.
Why were we not pushing physical fitness and health? Like, get stronger, build up your immunity, build up your cardiovascular, and fight this thing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, you don't want to go on a tangent, but the narrative was on the vaccine and the mandates. It wasn't about getting healthier. And, now all that's coming out now. But I mean, it seems like such a moot point where you just think, oh, that's all I have to do is just work out and eat healthy. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Everybody thinks that it's like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Like, have you tried though? Like that's how I just literally 2005, I just started doing more. I just started eating a little better. When I work in a restaurant, so I have a number of fries and things that I could just snack on, but I was very mindful of, I need to eat this. I need to eat more of this. And, 17 years later, I am where I am now. And you know what? I'm still not done. I'm still learning and I still want to be better. I still have big goals to achieve and I'm not quite there yet.
And I love that. And like, it's very motivating to see someone of your age, just under 50 years old, still pushing, still making goals. What'd you say?
Just under 50. Yeah. Like I'll be 48 this year. So
exactly. And I will tell you one thing, that regardless of how healthy I get, no matter how much I push into my diet, I could go fully vegan. If I ever get that Corey's gravy recipe, you bet your ass I'm eating way too much of it.
You know how many people have asked for that recipe? And to be totally honest, I've seen my dad make it. It's not that hard. If you seriously wanted it for something, my dad could make it for you. You would just have to say, I would just have to get all the ingredients for him. And he would make you like a pot, like what he makes for the restaurant.
I want it for my wedding, George. I want it on my potatoes.
When's your wedding?
August.
Okay. Let's talk between now and then. We'll get that hooked up for you.
Why is this so much more exciting than my wedding?
That'll be my wedding gift for you. And I think your sister likes our tomato sauce, if I'm not mistaken. Tomato or meat sauce?
It's one of them. I know my mom is in love with the beef barley.
Anyways, figure that out and we'll definitely make that happen because that's August. We got lots of time to get that happen.
I'm going to be a celebrity in town if I got a pot of that gold.
Yeah. And the thing is it gets made in concentrate. So you would have it forever.
Oh my God. All right. Well, the podcast is a success. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. I am fired up. I'm ready to get married, George.
You still got 4 months, 5 months. How many months is it away?
Well, regardless, I honestly like the first time we could talk for another 4 hours. It's always so easy to talk to you. And I truly appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, too busy for some things. Definitely not. But I'm always blown away by your motivation, your passion for what you do, how much you're willing to help people, whether or not it's given back to you is always just mind blowing. Your Instagram handle is Triathlon George. If anyone wants to see how motivating this man is, he gets up every morning, pushes, busts his ass, and fights for the things that he really wants in life. Do you have anything to say, George? Do you have anywhere people want to follow you?
Or you know what? Just keep on pushing people. Like do a little something that makes you happy. At the end of the day and at the end of the week, you'll find so much more joy in your life because it's there. I think a lot of people forget that, we don't have joy in our lives. Just keep on do something that makes you happy. That's my big thing for today.
I love it. It's very true. And like I always said, if I can, you can. I was the definition of excuses and any possible reason not to do it. I'm doing it now. And I tell you right now, the first 30 days for me were the hardest. And now it's just like, I crave it. I want to feel that way. I want to feel good. I want to have more energy in the next day. And now it's just as easy as going out and getting it.
I'm proud of you, man. You've done really, really well. I really love your candor and how you come out because people can make it difficult and you just made it fun and you've gotten other people to do it. That's the biggest fucking thing out there is that you've got people to follow you on your journey and do what you're doing because it doesn't need to be pretty. It can be messy. Action is the best action as long as you're doing something. And you're doing very well. And you inspire me. I told you inspired me the other day to get up and I did the thing that, I think it was a bike. I didn't want to get up and I saw you and I was like, you know what? So I got up and I did it, and you know what? I felt great as soon as I got done, or even during. I felt great. So keep up the great work you're doing. Your passion for podcasts. It shows too. Like you said, it is always a pleasure. I think we could really talk for hours. You are a great speaker. I really love chatting with you too. And maybe next year we'll do it again. We'll see where we are.
Well, we better make it a yearly occurrence. And I would definitely like to join you for a workout this summer. We'll do a recording of
Sounds good.
a workout together. And regardless, thanks for your time, George. It's always a pleasure. And I can't wait to talk to you again.
Oh, my pleasure, Greg. Talk to you soon. Cheers.